As usual, Greg's brothers are on the title page despite having no role in the story. Their spots should have been given to someone else.
Argofont Book Review, Argofont Book Review.
Greg loved sports as a little kid, but when he started kindergarten, they expected him to follow the rules. He decided sports are not as much fun when you can't do whatever you want. Greg likes watching the Olympics. He wonders if they could be his path to fame and fortune, or if he'd just screw up in front of a worldwide audience. I love the joke that Greg's Olympic backstory is he's here because his parents made him play sports. Isn't that the story of everyone at the Olympics? Dad takes Greg to work out at the gym. By work out, Dad means I'm gonna stretch for a bit, then hit the sauna. Greg is just as lazy as his dad. He cares a lot more about playing with the TV screens than about using the treadmill. He tries going to the bodybuilder room, but the weights are way too heavy for him. He's kicked out when he knocks some weights over. Mom teaches Greg about healthy eating. Wimpy Kid is not an educational series, but I think it's a great idea to teach kids that most food packages with fruits and vegetables don't actually contain fruits or vegetables. Those liars. Also, companies love to trick people with fake ads. I remember Disney paid for a big Save the Oceans billboard near my house when a Little Mermaid movie was coming out. Clearly, that was an ad for the movie disguised as public service. There is a field day at school. The winning homeroom will get a day off of school. Everybody's way too intense about the competition. The teachers trade students. The janitors and lunch ladies demand to have their own teams. The best athlete in school is paid to lose on purpose, and a teacher gives kids fake detentions just to stop them from competing. In the end, the school wisely decides to give everyone the day off. Greg remembers going to a professional football game when he was little. He remembers the stadium and the entertainment, but not the actual game. Greg thinks they could use some of those ideas to make church more interesting. Who wouldn't want a mascot in a halftime show? The book gets started for real when Mom says Greg has to play a team sport. He tries out for basketball, mainly because there are 28 kids competing for 20 spots. There's a good chance Greg won't make the cut, especially because he has no idea you can use your left hand to play basketball. There's a scheduling conflict with the school's basketball superstar, Preet Patel. As a result, the only way Preet can play is if they make a third basketball team. Greg and all the other rejects are on Preet's team. Preet's dad is the coach. He soon regrets making a team with all the kids who can't play basketball. They can barely score when there's no defense. How can they score against actual opponents? Plus, all the gyms are fully booked for the season. They have to play around theater props, which doesn't help. One practice is interrupted by some old guys. They say corny things and humiliate the middle schoolers on the court. Preet is so upset he tries to dunk the ball. Preet accidentally breaks his ankle. He was their only good player. Now Mr. Patel is stuck coaching the reject team for the rest of the season. The first game is chaos since the gym is in terrible shape and the ball keeps going into the bathroom. Greg is glad when it's over. He is disappointed when he learns the game is not over, they're just taking a halftime break. That's how little Greg knows about basketball. He doesn't know halftime is a thing. They play a game against Slacksville, their town rivals. The two towns have been fighting for decades over a valuable diamond factory and a disgusting dump. The Slacksville crowd shows no mercy. They scream the whole time. There's even a fight in the stands. When you're winning a game 90-2 with 3 minutes left, there is no need to get that involved. Humorously, the scoreboard only shows 2 digits. So when Slacksville gets over 100 points, the scoreboard shows 1-2. Greg's team starts celebrating like they're winning for the first time ever. Greg fails free throw shots, and they lose 3-2. Greg's team has a blowout loss for every game of the season, even after the league implements mercy rules to help them. Mom signs the team up for a second chance tournament. It's a tournament just for teams that lost this year. The idea is that you keep going until your team wins its first game. It's a good idea, but maybe they should have tried some double elimination format instead, because the final round ends up being try not to be the worst team in the state. Greg's team loses against a series of humorous opponents like mathletes, actors who don't play basketball, and a team that constantly hits everyone. The refs pretend not to notice any fouls, so that game ends up being 6-5. Preet shows up for the final game. He can't run because his foot is in a boot, but he is still the best player on the team by far. Greg is forced to play for the other team after an unexpected injury. I'd like to think Mom was being nice to Greg, but it feels like she wanted him off of her team because he's the worst player. Greg throws the ball backwards over his head at the last second. It miraculously goes in. So his team wins, while the teammates he had all year lose. The end. Post-book follow-up. I thought this book was great. It's a hilarious parody of an underdog sports team movie, where their wimpy team keeps getting worse and worse. I especially love the ending, where Greg is a hero for getting an impossible game-winning point for the wrong team. The basketball story starts about a third of the way through on page 80. I keep forgetting a decent chunk of the book has nothing to do with basketball. It feels like it was just a basketball book. I thought the field day and gym stories were fine. The Olympics and football stories were not as good. I might have replaced them for something focusing on Greg's teammates. We see the teammates for most of the book, but Greg doesn't really talk to them. I couldn't tell you their names or personalities. I was surprised at how many people complained Rolly is not in this book. I did not miss him, but I agree, it could have worked for Rolly to be one of Greg's teammates. 3 of the teammates, Ruby Bird and the Woodley brothers, appeared in previous books. I guess it was nice to see them again, but they were not high on my list of characters that I want to see return to the series. Preet is definitely the teammate I'd most like to see again in a future book. Overall, I thought it was another hilarious entry in the series. Greg has done sports stories before, but I still thought this one was great. If you're a fan of Wimpy Kid, you should give this book a shot. I give Diary of a Wimpy Kid number 16, Big Shot, a 10 out of 10.